5th and 8th. I'm pretty happy with that. Let's hope that I don't stuff the race strategy up in today's episode. Fingers crossed, eh? Welcome to Season 1, Part 12 of Race to the Top. I'm Ian. In today's episode, we have got Tondola, the GP, which is the race 6 of the Formula 3 season. We are sitting 5th and 8th on the grid, but unfortunately, we don't have any knowledge from practice, so this is going to be quite a difficult race for us. Car setup isn't changing too much. Now, driver strategy, what I am going to hope to do, because with the car setup, if I can ever get to what I want to do, there you go. With tyres, you've got the softs that'll last up to 39 laps, and the softs will last 22 laps. So again, you're looking at a one-stopper. So do we start on the super softs or the softs? That's what we've been doing the last two races. We've been mixing the strategies. And that's what I'm going to do this time as well. I'm going to keep Mawson on the soft tyres first, and then I'm going to leave Falcaro on the super softs. So again, we've got them on alternate strategies. There's no possibility of any double stack because they are quite close together at the race start. And then hopefully the race will come back to us with Mawson. Again, expect to see Mawson dropping down the field at the start of the race because he's on the soft tyre. Falcaro, we want him to stay around 5th if possible. Anywhere between, say, like 3rd and 7th, I'll be happy if that's where Falcaro is when he comes to his first pit stop on around lap 20-ish. We'll have to wait and see on that one. But because it's a 63-lap race, and the 39 laps, 49 laps, I'll just double check actually, because I'm talking to myself here, 39 laps, so you've still got another 24 laps to go before you can get onto the super softs. So you could even do super soft, and then go onto the super softs again, which I might do with Mawson. Actually, or do I? I don't know. That's a tricky one, isn't it? I don't think it's a one-stopper. The whole time I've been planning this, I've been going, oh, it's a one-stopper. It actually isn't. I think it will be a two-stopper. So by putting him on the softs first, then we can get him onto the super softs for 2 stints at the end of the race. So they will both last about, let's say, 16 laps. So on lap 30, with 32 laps to go. So on lap 30, I think we pit Mawson, which will be halfway point. And then we'll go super soft for 16, super soft for 16. And I think what we'll do is we'll actually do a similar strategy, but somewhat different. We're going to go 16 laps, 17 laps on the super softs with Falcaro, then we'll drop onto the softs, and then we'll finish yet again on the super softs. Hopefully that works out, but, you know, I said that last time in the previous race. I said, oh, I'm so good at this, you know, and then look what happened. So here's the grid for today's race. We've got Ryan Tveter on pole with Rail Hyman next to him in 2nd place. Joel Eriksson and Alex Palau in 3rd and 4th. Falcaro's on 5th, starting on the super softs, along with Ralph Aaron in 6th. On the 4th row of the grid, you've got Jan Mardenborough on 7th. Joey Mawson on 8th in the soft tyres. He's ahead of Alexander Sims on the softs, with Sasha Hara next to him as well. In the 6th row, we've got Makino, followed by Sato in an all-Japanese 6th row. In the 7th row, you've got Mikkel Jensen next to Pedro Piquet, who's right down. He didn't set a time when the rain cleared in qualifying. In fact, no one did below Piquet. Daravala 15th, Ticktum 16th. Then you've got Gunther for Prima Power Team in 17th, ahead of Harrison Newey in 18th. And then the back row of the grid, you've got Mick Schumacher and Lando Norris. Again, they're on different strategies as well. But Mick Schumacher and Maximilian Gunther, expect to see them move up the field. You can guarantee it. So here we are then. We are ready. We'll cut on to Falcaro because he's the man that's in front. And we are lights out at the Tondola GP. And again, Mawson gets a poor getaway, but everyone else did behind him as well. Falcaro stays in 5th, has a quick look at, and Falcaro's run wide. That's a complete disaster. And he's right back in 17th. We'll have to cut back to him. And here comes Mawson. He's in 7th place. He moves up after Falcaro's stuff up. And he sits there in 7th. There's still a bit of traffic in front of him. You've got Mardenborough and Aaron battling away. And behind him, you've got Sims, who's also looking very, very interested in moving up into that 7th spot. As Falcaro's fallen away to 19th place on the grid now, and that's his race effectively done, surely, as there were 3 abreast going into that right-hander. Mawson's battling to hold on to 7th, and he just about holds on, and we can now start backing off these cars a little bit, and I wonder whether it's worth, with Falcaro, trying to push for the one-stopper now. He's so far back. Let's back him right off and see what we can do. But we can keep the tyre wear up a little bit, remember, because we are going to be pitting them early. We're doing a two-stopper in this race, so we can afford to burn through these tyres a little bit quicker. But Mawson's moved up into 6th now. He's still battling away because you've got Palau, who's built a bit of a lead there, but there's a big gaggle of cars right behind. Mawson in 6th. He's now leading that pack because Aaron's starting to pull away a fraction a bit there in 5th place. And everyone's just starting to settle down now, and we'll quickly cut back to Falcaro. What has happened here? What a disaster of a start for Falcaro, running wide, and he's battling Lando Norris. And he's got... Does he have the quicker engine? No, he doesn't. Mawson's got the quicker engine, but not by much. And Mawson's up into 6th place. And if we have a quick look at the standings, if the result stays the way they are, we're no longer top of the championship because of Falcaro's stuff up on that first corner, and we got a perfect view of it because I was focused on him, unfortunately. But Mawson's already complaining he can't get much quicker. I'm not too concerned at the moment. Maybe we should push. Let's try and push, get in front of Aaron, and then we've got a bit of clear air there because he's got the inside line, and he's got... This is a power now. This is all just a straight line, but he's got this little chicane ahead, and he still comes out. He moves up to 5th. That works out well for us, and we can back him off just a touch because I don't want to burn through too much fuel early on. I know someone actually commented, I can't remember who that was. I think that was Nicholas, wasn't it? Let me know in the comments if it was you. About, let's burn through more fuel at the start because it'll help you later on in the race, which I'm 100% in agreement with, but I don't like to do that. I don't like to be sitting there looking at the fuel gauge going, oh, can we finish this race? So that's why I like to do things the way I do. I'm not disagreeing with you, however, but we will just back them off a little bit because it's all about... Actually, what I'll do is I'm going to bump Falcaro up a touch now because Mawson's moved up to 5th. I'm quite happy with that, considering he's on the slower tyre than Aaron, and Falcaro's on a much quicker tyre, and he's now battling away for last place on the grid. There's 3 abreast, and can he overtake? He's taken Schumacher, but holding on to it's going to be a lot harder than he thinks, and he's just about there. He's got that inside line, but Schumacher looks to have a more powerful car, and Schumacher just about makes that happen. And what has gone on there? That's incredible stuff, isn't it? Falcaro just absolutely stuffing the race strategy up completely. But we are still on track at the moment. So Mawson, we're looking at pitting him around lap 30. Falcaro around lap 17, something like that. And we're going to put him onto the soft tyres. So hopefully he'll be so far back in the back of the grid. He'll be miles away from any cars. And he can just start getting fast lap after fast lap. And that could bring him back into the race. But, I've said that, and who knows. As Falcaro is actually getting another highlight here because he's trying to overtake Schumacher. The teammates, Gunther and Schumacher, are battling side by side, and Falcaro just can't get past. So he has to sort of bide his time a little bit. So we're going to back him off again, just because there's no point in burning through these tyres too much, surely. In fact, I'll leave him on that. I'm leaving Mawson as well. I'm keeping an eye on that tyre temperature because, as you can see, they're very, very high because it's still very warm. It's 30 degrees here. And Mawson's sitting in 5th place. He's only half a second behind Palau. Palau, I said to you before at the start of the race weekend, expect to see Palau moving up the field. But Falcaro has jumped Gunther and Schumacher, and he's up into 17th. He's on a bit of a charge, isn't he? He wants to get back to at least into the points, and I expect him to finish at least 10th. Despite that finish, I want him to still be climbing up there. But Mawson's doing very, very well as he's building a bit of a lead, 1.3 seconds over Aaron now. Falcaro's just stuck in traffic, and there's not really much we can do. And I've been talking so much, I haven't sped the race up, so this is going to be another long episode. I do apologise for that. Because Falcaro, it's just been such an exciting race to start. And Joey Mawson's attempting to overtake Palau now, but he's just that bit too far away, isn't he? He can't really do anything. And we are really trying to conserve those soft tyres. We don't want him to burn through them too quickly. And we are, again, concerned about the fuel load. So if we bring back our strategy just a little bit, we want these tyres to start cooling off a bit. They're really, really hot at the moment. Both sets of tyres, they're really, really hot. As Falcaro is actually attempting to defend from Gunther, and he's just been overtaken there, as you can see that on the standings to the left. In fact, I think Mawson looks like he's closing in again a little bit to Palau. So let's have a look at trying to overtake Palau and see if he can do anything. It just doesn't look like he can at the moment. As Falcaro, we're going to have to keep him on that. I'm looking, he's got 44%. We might have to pit him very early, which is not what I want to do. If Mawson can get ahead of Palau, that would be fantastic. But I'm mindful of the engine mode because the fuel burn, he's coming up to about a lap deficit, which isn't too bad, but you don't want him to fall too much. But also I'm worried about that the tyre wear, because he's burning through it really, really quickly. He's really ruining his tyres. And Mawson has a look on the inside, and can he hold on? He's holding on that inside line, but he gets in front. But now Palau's got the inside line. Mawson just about clings on and starts to drift away a little bit. Now, can he hold on to that? Because Palau's not going to be too happy. But Mawson's got that clean air in front of him now, so he can start to pull away a little bit, hopefully. But it doesn't look like Palau's is going to go down without a fight, as he's side by side, and Mawson just holds on that little chicane there on that back straight and holds on to fourth, but he can't seem to pull away at the moment. We're going to have to back down that fuel burn a little bit, and again we're keeping an eye on the tyre temperatures as well, because they're still very, very high, as we're going to have to look at pitting Falcaro earlier than expected, because we've been trying to burn through these tyres. We're going to have to pit him a lot earlier than we thought, on lap sort of 11 or 12, which is much, much higher. So what we're going to do is let's go into push, and we're going to bring Falcaro in now onto the soft tyres, because this is where we hope that his race can come back to us, because he's going to pit away from all the other cars, well ahead of first place Tveta, and that will hopefully allow him to get a few quick laps under his belt. But as you can see, he's pushing so hard and just can't seem to do anything, can he? And while we're watching Falcaro, we will back off Mawson. We'll rotate around so we can see him come in. It was a bit of a slow stop there. The front left was a little bit slow, but as you can see, Falcaro's now coming out into completely clean track, and we can sort of ignore Falcaro and just keep an eye on him on the standings, because he's what's that, 44 seconds behind Tveta. I expect that to keep climbing, but what you can expect is to see him closing down that 11-second gap to Schumacher, because he's so far out. If you have a look on the minimap, look how far behind he is to Schumacher, and hopefully this race will come back to him, but obviously we'll have to wait and see on that one. And we'll cut back to Mawson now, who's pulled up a bit of a lead now. What's that, he's got 2 seconds? 2 seconds, 2.2 seconds over Palau, which I'm quite pleased with, because he's still burning through his tyres at a rate of knots, so we're going to have to look at pitting him around lap 20, which is a lot sooner than we thought. I don't want to be pitting him that early if I can help it, so I'm going to back him right off and hope that he just holds on to fourth. It will allow Palau obviously to close in on him a little bit, but then we can start upping the tyre wear a little bit more once he starts getting a little bit closer. As you can see, Falcaro just sets a personal best lap of a 1:21.4. So I told you, keep an eye on him. Look at the gap that he's closing in on Schumacher at a rate of knots. He's only 7.3 seconds behind Schumacher now, which is amazing stuff. And what I'm worried about, though, is this tyre temperature. It is very, very hot here, and it's very difficult to keep this temperature. And so I'm going to have to change my strategy. Do I put Mawson onto softs again, try and get him another 30 laps, and then go super softs at the end? Or do I just keep going with that strategy of super soft? But I don't think I'm going to have enough time. But maybe super softs are the way to go. It's really hard to say at the moment. But we can keep an eye on Falcaro. Keep an eye on down here in the bottom right where the mouse is. He's down to 6 seconds now. This is where it starts working, because Schumacher's going to have to look at pitting very, very shortly. So that could work in our favour. And we're going to have to back off Falcaro once more. The tyre temperature, it's very, very hard to keep these tyres in that sweet spot. I'm guessing it's just the heat today, but it's not as hot as it was in like Doha or in Dubai. But I can't remember what tyres they had. They were softs and mediums, weren't they? So that may well have been the difference. But as you can see, the race is starting to settle down a little bit now. We're starting to have a few gaps, as Mawson is down 8 seconds to Hyman in third place. But don't forget, they're on the super soft tyres, and they're all going to be pitting soon. So I could see Mawson jumping Ericsson Hyman, maybe, but he's going to have to start pitting himself, because he's down to 44% on his soft. So any sort of advantage that he has, he's going to drop back quite quickly. But as you can see, he's nearly 5 seconds ahead of Palau, and Palau's on a completely different strategy to us. So the fact that we're pulling away from Palau on quicker tyres says it all. As there's the front three, they're all pitting. There goes third, and we have jumped ahead of Ericsson. I don't know for how long that's going to happen, but we are 3.3 seconds behind Tveta now, who's now pitted. So that shows how much further up the field he is, and we can start bumping up this tyre temperature a little bit, just because we want to keep that tyre temperature in that sweet spot along the middle there. If we can stretch out this stint a little bit longer for Mawson, that would be fantastic. Because we're not too worried about Palau now. I think Palau's a bit out of our reach. There's Palau there. He's just dived into the pits himself. So watch for Palau to drop well away. Hyman's the one we're now watching because he's 3.5 seconds behind us and he's pitted. He's got fresh softs. So we expect to see Hyman closing in on Mawson quite quickly. In fact, there he is there. He's just rounding the bend behind us. You can just see him in the very top corner of your screen there. So I expect to see Hyman overtaking very, very shortly. But Hyman did pit and he started on the super softs. So again, you kind of expect that to happen, and they're a pretty decent team as well, Hyman. So we'll have to wait and see. Sims and Sashihara also, they're doing very, very well as well. But with us keeping our tyres quite cool, hopefully we can keep this consistency up, because as you can see, our tyre wear is a lot worse than like Sims, PK, Sashihara, Ticktum, Jensen. They've all got many, many more laps to go. We don't. We're going to have to pit many, many laps before them, that's a worry. But in fact, PK is a good example there, because how far down was PK at the start of the race? And look where he is. He is up into 6th place. They've got a good car. He's the one that we're going to keep an eye on. As long as we finish ahead of him and Falcaro can come back up. Because whilst I've been talking, we've had 3 cars pitted. We've had Newey, Schumacher and Sato all pit, which has bumped Falcaro up into 17th on the grid. He's still 2 seconds behind Gunther in 16th, who hasn't pitted yet. But Falcaro's been doing great laps, and that's sort of worked in our favour by pitting him early. But now, of course, it's going to be defending them, because as his tyres start to wear, he will get slower and slower. Everyone else will be on fresh tyres, which is what's happening with Mawson right now, as you can see, because Hyman is closing up ever more. Very slowly, though. I expected him to be closing in a little bit quicker, but you can just see him. Every so often, he just appears in the corner of the screen. But other than that, I'm quite happy with how things have gone. Because we've moved up into 3rd. We are going to pit again, and I do expect to drop behind, say, Sims, PK, Sashihara, that sort of a thing. So around sort of 6th, I expect Mawson to come back out on, but he is going to be on a different strategy. I'm thinking of either pushing him onto softs again, or do we go super softs? Because remember, they go for about 22 laps, but it's holding those 22 laps that's going to be different. It's going to be hard to maintain 22 laps, because it's very difficult to keep this tyre temperature up. And so we don't want to be thinking, well, there's 44 laps to go, let's just do 2 super soft stints, because I don't think that's going to be very manageable. And you always got to expect that we're going to get into a potential fight for a position or something where you're going to burn through the tyres a lot quicker. So once we pit, I think we will go on to the softs. And the reason I say that is because we're going to come back out, and there's going to be quite a few cars around us that we're going to be screaming to get past. But then if we go super soft, yes, we might be stuck behind like the PK, the Sims, the Sashihara for a couple of laps. But when they pit, then it unleashes us, and we can really push hard for some good for some good flying laps. But it's so tricky to make that decision. I mean, leading up to Doha, I would have been all confident in the decisions I make. But after Doha, who knows? I just don't have that confidence at the moment. But we do have to start looking at pitting Mawson soon. He's done 20. He'll be doing 26 laps by the time we come around, which that's about 4 laps less than I would have liked for Mawson. But that does mean that the super softs now go, say, 18 laps rather than 16, and I think that's a good. A good gauge, because I think 18 laps, they're expected to last 22. 18 laps is pretty good, I think. And if you look at Mawson, his pace is still good. Falcaro's pace is still good, as he's jumped up to 16th now. He actually overtook Gunther, who is yet to pit, but he is still stuck behind all that traffic still. So he's moved up. He's sort of gained a net place, really, with that early pit stop. But of course, he does have to pit once more. But if we can get him going right till the end and put him on the super softs, then that'll really help us, because we're actually pulling away a little bit from Hyman now. And if we can go around, say, another lap or 2 with Mawson, put him onto the super softs, we'll be up by lap 30. Then our original strategy of super soft would be great, as Julian Falcaro is in a real dogfight. So we'll quickly cut back to him just so you can see that going on, because there is a 3-way tussle. I wouldn't be surprised if we see an accident here, as he's battling bravely against Gunther, who has got much more worn tyres than him. So that kind of sort of says that Falcaro is just not having the race today, as Mawson's pace is starting to drop off. So I think let's push, and we'll put him onto fresh new super softs. We'll just double check his park condition again. You can see there his gearbox is down a little bit. A good quick pit stop. So we'll watch Mawson going around as Falcaro's fallen back to 18th now. But as you can see, there's a real three-way tussle there. Gunther, Newey and Falcaro. And Gunther does have to pit soon. So it's a shame. Falcaro, all those early laps hasn't really helped him. But we will watch Mawson. Here comes Mawson into the pit stops then. So is it a quick stop? It needs to be. The front left, again, a little bit slow, but I can't complain too much. Now, this is where we start pushing. We need a good out lap, but he came out just behind PK. So PK is going to have to pit soon, but he's going to try and go 32, 33, maybe even 34 laps, and then pit again, possibly onto the softs. Whereas we really need to get in front of him. We must get in front of him if we're to have any chance of getting a podium today, because he's going to be holding us up, and we don't want people like Hyman and Ericsson to be getting too far ahead of us. As Mawson's having a look, but he just can't get past at the moment. He's right behind him. And he's going to have a look on the inside, and he just squeezes past. That was excellent work from Mawson, and that's released him now. So now we can back him off a little bit and watch. We want to make sure those tyres just drop back into that more manageable temperature. And hopefully in 5th place, that's where he was, wasn't he, when he pitted? So, I mean, I'm quite happy with where he is. That sort of net position, he hasn't really gained, he hasn't lost. Sims still has to pit again. PK's going to be pitting. Sashihara just behind him has just dived into the pits. So in 5th place, if we can stay ahead of PK, that's promising for us. And if we have a look, we're still going to be losing a lot of points to Muka, who have been performing very well. Of course, you've got Ryan Tavetta way out in front. He's got a 7.5 second lead over Ericsson now. Falcaro, we are going to keep an eye on him, despite his race being effectively over. Stranger things have happened. A safety car comes out, suddenly we could be battling for something here. But he just can't get past. Who's he battling now? He's dropping right down. He's just having a terrible, terrible race, isn't he? As Gunther's up into 15th. They're going to be pitting soon. In fact, they may even have dived into the pits. Possibly. No, they haven't, as we've dropped back down to 19th. Falcaro's having an absolutely woeful race. But Mawson's maintaining 5th. Now, there's the notification on PK that PK is coming into the pits. That works out well for us. So Mawson's going to have nice, clean track in front of him and behind him. He can see Sims just up ahead. You may have just caught a glimpse of him. There he goes there, just behind the standings. Now Sims, by the time we catch up to him, he'll be pitting as well. So that'll, again, keep the track free, and it'll allow him, he's 11 seconds behind Hyman. Now Hyman most likely go to the end of the race. Possibly, I don't know, because there's still a long way to go, and there's still 30 laps to go. So it looks like the front three are going to have to pit again. Mawson's going to have to pit again. We're going to keep him on the super softs, and the cars in front are going to be on super softs. So it could be a sprint to the finish, all on super softs, and they should all be pitting around the same time. That's the plan anyway. As Tictum's just dived into the pits as well, and he's coming out in 12th place. And we've got Aaron now ahead of PK. PK's gone onto the softs, so PK's going right to the end. He's gone soft, whereas Mawson's going to be going soft, super soft. Whether that works, we'll have to wait and see, because Sims must be looking at pitting soon, surely. He will be going on to... there he is there. He's just pitted now, so it shows what I know, and he's come out onto the soft. So he's going to be going to the end of the race as well. So we need to start building a bit of a lead over Sims, because Sims is who we're battling, really. As you can see, we've got a 10-second lead. That's not that much. We need to extend that as much as we can. And Falcaro's starting to lose a little bit of pace, because he's just stuck behind all these cars. He's got Schumacher ahead of him. He's holding off from Sato in 17th place. This is not a great race, so let's bump him up on his engine mode a little bit, just because we kind of want to see him at least get close to a top 10 finish, even if he doesn't. That first corner, running wide on that first corner, just hurt us. It really, really did hurt us. And I'm just so disappointed. Again, I mean, if you think I threw the race away in Doha, Falcaro has thrown this race away on the first lap, and this season's just gone from bad to worst, really. But I can't say too much, because Mawson is in 4th place, and he's doing very, very well. 11 seconds behind Hyman. I'm a little bit concerned, because, like I say, the front 4 are all going to have to pit once more, and most likely I'm expected to see Hyman, Ericsson and Tavetta pit onto the super softs. I'm expecting us obviously to go onto the super softs as well. I can't see that changing. So as long as we come out around them, we've got a real chance of winning this race, getting a podium. We're not winning this race, we're 33 seconds behind. Sims, he's going to be tricky. He's going to be the sort of the thorn in our side, because when we come out, if we don't build a big enough lead, we're going to come out behind Sims, and then we've got to overtake him. Whereas Hyman, Ericsson, and of course Tveta, they don't have that problem. When they pit, they're going to be coming out ahead of Sims. We're most likely going to be stuck behind them. As Valqueiro is just moving up and down, up and down, up and down between the few positions. As he's just every time we cut to him, he's side by side with someone, and he's battling bravely, holding on to 17th place. And I just can't see him doing anything. But we are going to back him off a little bit. We've got 24 laps to go, so we are too early to start considering pitting him for super softs. Whereas Mawson, he's still well on target. Fuel, I'm a little bit concerned about his fuel at the moment because he's not conserving enough. But what I'm concerned about is he's only 10 seconds ahead of Sims, and we need him to be a lot more than that. So I can't really back him up too much. Otherwise, we'll be stuck well behind Sims, and then by the time we get up to him, it will only be 2 or 3 laps left to overtake Sims. So I'm a little bit concerned. We may just have to leave the fuel burn on the medium setting at the moment and hope that by the end of the race he's so far ahead of Sims that we can back him right off, get that fuel back to parity, and go again. Because what I don't want to do is I don't want him to run out of fuel on the final turn like he did in the previous race. I mean, what I'm glad about is I'm glad that you don't actually have to go and have a chat with the driver, because if Mawson came into my office after that Doha race, he would have killed me. I'm sure he would. He would have stabbed me to death, and I would have done the exact same thing in his shoes as well. It was a dreadful performance, and quite frankly, I mean, I didn't even want to put that episode out to air. It was that poor. But anyway, let's focus on what we're doing, because otherwise I'm going to get distracted and then make the same mistake talking about the mistake I made in the previous episode. We've got 21 laps to go. Mawson's still on target to be pitting with around 15 laps to go. 16, 15 laps, I'm happy with that. Valqueiro, though, we're going to have to look at pitting him yet again. We've got, with 21 laps to go, can we put him onto the super softs? Or do we hold off? I think we hold off for another lap or two. So we'll put him back into backup mode. Let's bump his engine, his fuel burn up. Let's try and get him going. He's got a bit of clear air, as you can see. So if we can get him around one more lap, that'll be fantastic. And then we can pit him for super softs, and that'll see him to the end of the race. He's got that clear track in front of him. So there we go. So we're now going to go into attack mode. He's just past that pit lane, so now we can pit him. And we'll put him onto the super soft. Let's check the condition. They're all good. And again, of course, we want a fast pit stop. Of course we do. So we'll quickly cut back to Valqueiro when he's a little bit closer to the pit lane. And we'll cut back to Mawson because he's the man of the moment for us. He's the one that's going to score us points in this race. And he's got a little bit of clear air. He's not pulling away, though, from Sims. He's only 8.3 seconds. Sims is actually closing down a little bit. But once Sims' tyres start to degrade that a little bit more, it may work for us. As you can see, though, Valqueiro has closed right in on who's that? Sato in front of him, and we dive into the pit. So that's not a bad couple of laps from him. Again, a slow front left. Can't do too much about that. And we are going to go into conserve mode now, just because with all these laps to go, we've still got 18 laps to go. I don't want the tyres to burn through too quickly, otherwise the end of the race will be a complete disaster. And of course, Valqueiro is just come out ahead of Ericsson in second place. So Valqueiro is going to start being blue flagged soon. Once Ericsson goes past, though, there is a huge gap to Hyman in third, as you can see on the minimap there, and then Mawson's even further back in fourth place. So watch Valqueiro. His lap time, he will have a lap time or two where he will be going a bit slower than anticipated because of the blue flag. We haven't had to deal with blue flags at all this season, and now we're dealing with them in race 5. That's such a shame. This is lap 6. It was lap 6. Race 6. There you go. I'm getting all tongue-tied again. Mawson, I'm still happy with him at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start bumping him up just a tiny little bit, purely because I don't want him to fall too far behind. I want him to stay in touch because he's only 8 seconds ahead of Sims. So if we can pick up that pace a little bit, he's got 31%. He can do another lap or two. Then we're going to bring him in with about 15 laps to go. So in fact, what I might do is I might just bump him up a little bit more, and he can go around one more lap after this one. So a lap and 3/4, let's say. Then we'll pit him, as it looks like there's been an accident there, as Martinborough is pitting with repairs. Newey's pitting at the same time as him. So that's going to be quite interesting, because Martinborough's really struggling. He's right behind us. Valqueiro's overtaken him now. And We're going to watch Mawson go around one more time. So push, 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 and let's put him onto the remaining fresh super softs that he has. We'll quickly check his park condition. Again, we're keeping an eye on that gearbox because that looks quite low, doesn't it? And of course, a fast pit stop as always. So let's see where Mawson comes out. As Falcaro, he's got a 3-second deficit to Norris, but he's 37 seconds ahead of Mardenborough. So I don't know what happened to Mardenborough there, but he's had some big damage, and that's Mardenborough's race done. So close to the end as well. But here comes Mawson as he comes along that back straight and comes around. He's going to be going into the pit lane. There again, we want a good stop here. Watch that front left because I expect that to be a little bit slower than the others, and it is as always. But where will he come out? There goes 5th place Sims. He's the one. Is that 6th? No, that looks like Mardenborough there. That's Mardenborough. So we're going to get a blue flag for him. So we are 5th, so we only lost 1 spot. And of course, we are on fresh tyres. Sims isn't. So this is going to be a real push for the finish in the hope that we can do something. We're going to have to back Falcaro off on his fuel because I've not been paying attention to that. I've been stuffing that up a lot lately, haven't I? But Mawson 3 seconds behind Sims, and he has got Mardenborough in the way. So it is Mardenborough, isn't it? Where are we? Yeah, it is Mardenborough. I've been looking at the mini-map. There's Mardenborough there. So, and Sims is just a little ahead of us. He's got 6-second lead over us. What can we do? Can we do anything, or is 5th place basically what we can achieve? I'm not sure on that one. But fuel, we're keeping an eye on that. We've got 13 laps remaining. Fuel for Mawson's looking fine. Falcaro, I'm not too happy about that. And we're going to have to back him off again because I'm mindful of his tyre wear. Because we don't want him to be struggling. And he's made contact with someone. He's made contact. So he's obviously in a big battle with Norris. And there he is again. He just cannot catch a break, Falcaro. But because we've been backing him off, he can't do anything. I'm not too fast. He wasn't in with a chance anyway. So we might as well just try and get him to the end of the race. And he's about to be blue flagged by Tveta there. As you can see Tveta behind him. So he's going to be pulling aside for Tveta in a second. Eventually. As that's got to be a penalty, surely. Who's that? As that's Norris, that he had to yield as well for Tveta, and Falcaro saw his opportunity to overtake, but unfortunately it didn't stay, did it? That's disappointing. Mawson is not closing down on Sims either, so what do we do? I think we just have to back him off, don't we? With 10 laps to go, let's just see him get to the end of the race. And settle for 5th. So as the standings are at the moment then, we drop to 2nd in the championship. Muka moves ahead with their 29 points because they got Tveta and ticked them in the points at the moment. They've really been in a class of their own, haven't they? So I kind of expect the boys in pink to do that. It was the last race. The last race really cost us. Falcaro's start in this race, that didn't help, but the fact that we just lost however many points it was in the previous race, it stuffed us. And now we're going to be battling quite hard to maintain 2nd. We've got an 8-point lead. Oh, sorry, I can't even count. 9-point lead over Van Amersfoort if it stays like this. That's not enough, is it? With 2 races to go. We need more than that. But, of course, we do. The power comes into the next race. The next race in Ardennes is a real power-heavy, engine-heavy track. That's not going to suit us because I think every other team's got a better engine than us. So, is our season over? Yes, in terms of winning the championship. But we can really hold on to 2nd place. I think we can. And I definitely think 3rd place is... Third place is a failure, but I'll take 3rd place. 2nd place, I'll be happy with that. If we won the championship, I would have been delighted. But I think, unfortunately, the boat has sailed on that one. Of course, with this result, that means Joey Mawson will jump ahead of Julian Falcaro, who has picked up 1 point in the last 2 races. And I think it might only be 2 points in the last 3, I think. I'm going off my memory here. After the last race, I actually had to stop recording for a little while because I was so angry with how I stuffed up the race that I actually had to stop recording because I was so angry with myself. And so I'm not entirely down with what's been going on in this season. I've usually got a pretty good memory, but over the last couple of days I had to sort of drown my sorrows, and I've sort of quickly forgotten about everything that happened in Doha. Unfortunately, though, it's now on YouTube forever, so yeah, that wasn't good, was it? It was terrible. I know, like, I could hear you guys screaming with anger at how badly I stuffed up. Like, I could actually hear you, you know, from all of you all around the world that are watching. It was dreadful. Dreadful management. Dreadful, like, race management by me. And because of that, we're not winning the championship. And we're never going to win the championship, unfortunately. But anyway, I digress. As Mawson's actually falling further and further behind Sims here, so we are going to be settling for 5th place. I think where Falcaro could have been. If Falcaro was 7th or 8th, if he was ahead of Tictum, it brings the championship a little bit closer, doesn't it? But Mooka will be, 11 points clear of us now. And if Falcaro was just ahead of Tictum, who knows? Who knows? It would have been even closer. It would have been like 6 points, 7 points, something like that. Even less. We might have still been that. We would have still had the lead if he was up there. So, what do you do? What do you do? I just don't know. I don't know what we do. So we might as well just really conserve our engines now. Falcaro's not improving from 18th. 4 seconds behind Norris, but a million miles ahead of Mardenborough. Sato's also pitted, and he's a long way behind too, so I don't know what happened with Sato. But we're keeping an eye on Mawson right towards the end. We're just going to sort of nurse him home, aren't we, really? We've got 3 laps to go. He's going to do it. His tyres aren't nearly worn enough. So I could really push him, but there's no point. He's 7 seconds behind now. Maybe we push him. Let's go for it. And we'll put up a high engine mode as well. But we're going to be watching. All I'm going to be doing now is watching the fuel mode. So I'm no commentary, just watching the fuel mode, just like this. Okay, 28. We're doing alright. I don't turn it off yet. Okay. I don't know what's going on anywhere else. So if you're watching the rest of the race, I have no idea what's happening because I'm just watching that fuel mode because I do not want to see the fuel dropping below 0 at the end of the race. We are down 6.5 seconds. Maybe I could have done that a little bit earlier. Mawson gets past the 19th place Mardenborough quite easily there. The blue flag yielded very quickly. Of course, anyone that played this game when it first came out will remember how bad the blue flags were. Does anyone else remember that? They were shocking. It was just, you know, you'd have a 20-second lead with 2 laps to go, and then all of a sudden you'd be, you know, just second, you know, like it had just happened like that, and you think, what's going on? And then when you sort of look back, you'd realise that it was because the blue flags, the cars just weren't yielding, you were getting stuck behind them. Oh, it was absolutely awful. As we've closed that gap up by 4.6 seconds, I dread to know what would have happened if I'd actually been paying a bit more attention. We may have even been able to squeeze into 4th place, but I think we're going to have to say 5th, which is a bit disappointing. Falcaro, I will be absolutely livid with him. Current form 3.5. Yeah, I'd go even less than that, to be honest. Tveta crosses the line. Is that his 2nd win in a row? I think it is. It's definitely his 2nd win of this season. Ericsson, Hyman comes in 3rd. Sims is up ahead. He claims 4th, ahead of Joey Mawson in 5th. Mawson's quite happy with 5th. Aaron is a long way back there, and he claims 6th. And Jensen will be the last of the runners, so we'll quickly cut back to him just so you can see a slightly different car, a different white car for a change. And there he crosses in 12th place. Falcaro right down in 18th place. Not the best result, was it? But, you know, I'll take 5th for Mawson. Falcaro, he was quite good on his times, but unfortunately the fact that he ran wide on that very first corner, it cost us. It really cost us, and he was never going to come back from that. And unfortunately, if our season wasn't over in Doha, I think it certainly is now in terms of winning the championship. But Joey Mawson does pick up 10 crucial points, which helps us at least maintain 2nd place. And this is the race confirmation then. So Ryan Tveta ahead of Joel Eriksson and Rail Hyman on 3rd, the 3 podium drivers. Julian Falcaro 13th. What did I say 13th for? I wish he was 13th. He was 18th. And of course, Rail Hyman gets the extra 2 points because he was the fastest driver on the day. So here's the Drivers' Championship then. So Joey Mawson jumps ahead of Julian Falcaro, but actually goes down 1 place in the standings despite moving up over Falcaro. So that's not great, is it? And Ryan Tveta just pulling away at the top of the standings there for Mooka. Pedro Piquet, I didn't actually see where Pedro Piquet came in that race. But regardless, we are 2nd in the championship now. It was to be expected. After Doha, you know, it was going to be a hard task to maintain 1st place. And then after the first lap, it was even harder. But 2nd place, I can't be too upset, really. You know, it's hard to do a debrief on this because it's, on one hand, you got Mawson who he did well. I'm happy with fifth. I expected around then, and he got that. He achieved that. But Falqueiro, though, he stuffed it up. So on one hand, you got a driver that performed well, and then on the other, you got Falqueiro that just performed terribly. So yeah, it's really, really tricky, isn't it? It's a hard one to say. And the fact that we've dropped to second, it was all me because of the Doha result. But after Falqueiro's result, at least I can shift a little bit of the blame onto Falqueiro. But you know, that's racing, isn't it? Unfortunately, that's just racing. So if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you pop a thumbs up on there and consider subscribing if you haven't. As I say, every like and subscribe goes a long way. And let me know in the comments what you think. I always read the comments, and I always love hearing from you guys. And yeah, I'll see you again in a couple of days for the next race in Belgium. Take it easy.